2 weeks ago. And so that is going to be an ongoing and long process. And I agree with Mark 100%. Everybody in this room and your friends and relatives all need to be involved in that process. They're going to be looking for input from the public, and there's going to be lots of opportunities to participate. So all of that has to go forward. So you have all these balls in the air right now. On top of all that, as Mark pointed out, the National Park Service has an easement on a lot of the property at Fort Monroe that they don't own. The easement area itself is 80 acres within the mode and on the perimeter mode, and those terms have not been worked out. And so I think that that's going to have to work in concert with the master planning process for what goes on in that easement, because the National Park Service is only going to allow certain uses within that footprint. So you have all of those things going on right now. And I just want to reiterate, this is a big and significant national park. It's 565 acres. 324 acres are part of the national park. This is a real park. 244 acres are fee ownership by the National Park Service. 80 are in that easement, and state ownership is 241. So the National Park Service out-owns the state. So, and the other thing I want to tell you about is why we have a National Park Service unit at all. And Mark and the rest of the citizens will remember when we first went to D.C., we had a line that went around the entire 565 acres. We got the Fort Monroe Authority Board to approve a boundary around the whole 565 acres. But when you're going to accomplish something that involves Congress, Senate, the President, the Governor, the House of Delegates, City Council, all of this stuff, sometimes you have to sit down and all get in our room and agree to what is actually feasible. And that's what we did. We had to have something the National Park Service would endorse, the White House would endorse, the Governor's Office would endorse, and a bifurcated congressional delegation would endorse. So we were able to get Scott Ridgell, Bobby Scott, this isn't even his district, Mark Warner, Jim Webb, Randy Forbes, Rob Whitman, the Governor, and the White House, and the National Park Service to all agree. And that is why we have the National Park Service unit now. And if you talk to folks in D.C., there were hundreds of candidates ahead of us, all right? We were able to swim past all those candidates and get to the top of the list and be the first Antiquities Act designation the President made during his presidency because we all got together and worked together as a team and crossed aisles. So I just want to tell you that, if I could go back in a time machine a year ago and see this, ubiquitous National Park Service pamphlet that you see at every national park, and actually see that it says Fort Monroe National Park and see the website, I would have been pinching myself, because as Mark said, everybody said we couldn't do it, but we did. And we did it with the help of conservation partners like the Sierra Club, and the National Park Service Conservation Association, and the National Trust for Historic Preservation, and all those folks were key. They told us that they got 3,000 positive letters and emails. We had almost 1,000 people show up at the convention center. And never in the history of the National Park Service have they had this much, happy togetherness, all right? And then, this is really true too. On October 19th, when President Obama came to Joint Base Langley Eustis to speak, we had everybody in the lineup to see the President wearing a green tie or a green dress or a green ribbon. The Governor had on a green tie. The First Lady had on a green ribbon. Dr. Harvey, Bobby Scott, every single person in the clutch was dressed in green. Dr. Locke, Senator Locke, had on green shoes and a green dress. Green in her hair. Anyway, so every single person went up to the President. And then we had people lining the street. We had all the kids wearing green. We figured out where the motorcade might go, and so we had signs on every motorcade possible route saying, "Make Fort Monroe a National Park." And so I waited to the back of the clutch because I was hoping maybe I'd get 7 extra seconds with the President. And when I got up there, I said, "Mr. President, we want you to make Fort Monroe a national monument." He said, "I know." And when we went to D.C., they told us that the reason he signed that order on November 1st was because he got in the car after he saw the public support down here, bipartisan support, and he got on the phone and he said, "Why haven't we done this already?" So you think that this grassroots stuff, You know, I thought it was a little corny, to be honest with you. I mean, I wore my green blouse, I had to go buy one. And I supported the whole thing, but it worked. And it was a thing of beauty. So, I'm really excited about the future of Fort Monroe. I'm very excited about the continued effort on behalf of the preservation community to make sure that it's done carefully and correctly. Slowly is okay, because we only get one shot to do this thing right. And this is the first step in that direction. And, I want to see us work with Sasaki. I want to see us work with Sasaki or another firm or with our own firms on planning Phoebus as the gateway to Fort Monroe. Also, a National Historic Landmark District. And it can be, the opportunities are limitless for Phoebus. So we need to work in concert with the master planning process for Fort Monroe on Phoebus. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I don't know if you want to do that.